Hello Potters, we are the KY Mooses and this is the Moose Pod, and welcome to a very dirty Moose Pod. And she's dirty today because we are starting our spring regimen of cleaning, sanitization, and maintenance. So today we're going to walk you through all this. You can see we've already got some of our sanitizing steps set up. If you need help with that, check out our other video. I won't be demoing all the steps today, but I will show you all the tools, and I'll do a walk-by of the pod as I'm going and tell you what I do where. And I'm going to break this up into two videos. We'll do outside and inside. So stay with us, and we will start with the tools we'll need today. Okay, and we'll start off with our tools, supplies, and all the things we need to start off with today. One of the first things that I will do this season after sanitizing is we'll be doing washing, and I do my wash with Meguiar's Ultimate Wash and Wax, and I will follow that up with a wax with the flagship Meguiar's wax. I don't have a bottle of that right now, but that is what I use to wax with. With your pod, if you ever have a oxidation issue, if you have parts of your pod that are stuck in the sun a lot and are losing that shine, this little kit right here, Meguiar's, is really great for removing the oxidation, polish it up, and then wax after. Let's see what else we got. We have Awesome brand diluted cleaner in order to get rid of some of the black marks on our pod that can't come off with soap alone. A little bit of Rain-X for our windows, just because. This product here, Crazy Clean, this is something Forest River uses, or recommended at one time for your decal residue. If you happen to remove and replace decals, that stuff right there is really good for removing the sticky stuff after, as is the Awesome. Let's see, caulk and sealers for your roof seal. Again, you want a Dicor type of lap sealant for all of your roof stuff, and this just happens to be a brand of the rest of the caulk silicone that's used on the rest of the exterior of your pod. So Alpha Seal on top, this on the rest of your pod. We've got our grease gun and our trailer bearing grease. We have a product here. It is the Mother's aluminum polish that is great for your fenders. Get those all nice and shiny again. A little bit of tire foam for your tires. Really good to keep your tires shiny, but also using a product like this will help extend their life a little bit, prevent against cracking, things like that. We're going to come up here with the WD-40 or the liquid wrench. I'll use this on inside of all of the locks mechanisms, your door hatches, things like that, and actually any outside exposed bolts or anything, so we'll get a squirt of that every season. We've got a Node toothbrush. We'll pop open our battery case and clean off any oxidation that happens to be on our battery contacts. And I don't have my distilled water out here, but we'll also pop the battery and make sure it needs filling with distilled water. We'll add that so. We have a wire brush to clean up any rust spots, or if you have a little wire attachment for a drill, you can clean up rust that way on your frame. And then you'll want to go after that with some Rust-Oleum primer, rust preventing black paint at the end. We've got our torque wrench to check our lug torque on our tires, and of course we do that before every trip, and we torque those to 100 foot-pounds. We have our socket, the 1 1/16 for our anode rod of our water heater replacement this year while we're sanitizing. And then we have the focus. Sorry about that. We've got our 13/16 for our wheel lugs. We've got a wrench just to do general tightening. Got a screwdriver or two to do general tightening. We've got some caulk tools. We got the remover. Got a nice putty knife to do some removing with. Got some Teflon tape to do our anode rod. We've got some extra old bearing grease from times when we've done a bearing replacement that we'll use on our stabilizer jack threads. And let's see over here, have a little bit of silicone spray. We'll use that for all of our rubber seals on the outside, your slide out, your door trim pieces inside of your storage bins. And I'll also use the brake cleaner today. We will clean off in the underside of the ball hitch there on the pod. We'll also clean off a little bit of the old grease from our weight distribution hitch bars. Clean those up good for the season. And again, that's most of the things I can think of that I got out for today. A couple other random things, of course, we'll be getting out. Of course, we'll check our tire pressure. We do that before every trip, along with the wheel lugs. Paper towels, because a lot of this stuff's going to get messy. And anything else I can think of as I'm going through, we'll do as we're doing the walkthrough and mention it. Okay, so we will start up front here with our coupler. Again, we're going to take the brake cleaner there, get up underneath there, get out any old residual grease, get that cleaned up for the season. Take our wire brush there, clean up a little bit of the rust on our weight distribution system there. You see these black streaks, things like this on your white parts or on the pod itself. The Awesome Cleaner is really good for that if they don't come off once you've done your regular wash and wax. And again, we're going to take our wrench, we're going to take screwdrivers, anywhere there's a bolt. We're going to look around, we're going to tighten, make sure everything is good and secure. Again, battery, we're going to pop that, clean off terminals, no toothbrush, a little bit of baking soda, and then we'll add distilled water if necessary. While we're up here with our propane, I need to change out one of my tanks this year, so we'll be doing that. It's a good idea to check your tanks, change it out if you need to, or get it filled. Another thing you can do just as a spring maintenance kind of check, once you turn your propane on and you're checking your systems, you can do a little bit of a bubble soap test here at any connections. Take a little bit of good soapy water there at your regulator, your connections, put it on there, turn it on your propane. If you see bubbles, you know you've got a leak there. Here up front, I don't know the jacks that everyone has. Mine here, it does have a serviceable point at the top. I will pop that little screw there and pop this cap off, and you'll see the internal workings after that. And I will fill that up with a little bit of new grease to get those gears covered. What else? We will check our breakaway cable, make sure that that is secure and working good. Again, you'll see these rust spots. I do need to take care of some rust spots this year. Again, we'll brush them off real good, wire brush, get that down to the metal. Do a little bit of Rust-Oleum primer, preventing rust stuff after that. Gonna make sure everything's secure, my sewer hose holder, things like that. Again, we're already set up for sanitizing right now, and so there we would use our socket for the anode rod, a little bit of Teflon tape to get that going again. Okay, one of the next things we're going to do is you'll often see this sticker on your pod that tells you to inspect your seals and things like that every 90 days. What that's usually meaning is to check all your rubber seals, your slide out, the ones in your storage bins, your door, but it's also going to mean your caulking around your pod. So again, I wash pretty much every trip. It's every couple of weeks for the MoosePod, but I'm going to do a full inspection, a really good one here since it's our first trip out of the spring. Caulk around the entire pod. I'll follow as I'm washing, look for any voids or cracks, and then remove and replace. But with your seals, we're going to get that silicone spray that I showed. We're going to spray the rubber seal, get it all good and wet, wipe it down with a paper towel. We're going to pull the seal to the other side, do the exact same. Of course, we're going to do the seal on top. We're going to do the seals on the bottom. We're going to go all around their slide out. And again, I will follow that for storage bins and things like that as well after we've cleaned them. A little bit of silicone spray keeps those things good and pliable. Over here, a little bit of silicone spray never hurts on your actual gate valves there for your dumping. Can't hurt. It does keep them moving pretty fluid during the season. Of course, before we do any of our propane testing this season, we will make sure there's no bugs or critters in our vents. We'll pop off our fridge vents here, make sure there's no critters or things like that. Check your lines here. Sometimes spiders will get up there and do little spider webs up in your propane on your heater there and maybe stop that from working, so we'll check that as well. Okay, over on this side again with our silicone spray. You know, anything rubber, the little rubber flaps there on your flushes. On the other side with your city water. Anything rubber, plastic, you throw a little bit of the silicone spray on it, wipe those down, get those good and pliable again, like I said. Our storage bin over here, of course, we're going to take a little bit of Awesome toothbrush, we're going to clean that up, and then again a little bit of the silicone there. Take our white lithium spray or the WD-40, we will hit our any pieces of metal like this, our locks, our turn latches, things like that. Actually pop open where your key goes there, get a little spray in there, and those will be very fluid all year long. Door hinges, anything like that. A couple sprays a year and you're always going to be pretty good to go with that. Plastic stuff around your windows, things like that. That 303 spray, I'll use that for anything plastic on the outside. And of course here we are with some semi-clean fenders right now. I've done mine once or twice with the Mother's cleaner, gets them real good and shiny. Don't know if you saw it on my fridge there, but the other product I use, I do have a McGuire's spray-on detailer spray wax, and what I'll use that for is I usually give the pod a spray down once we come home, or even when I'm washing, but I'll also spray on that detailer wax on here. Keeps that really good and water resistant and repellent. I'll also do personal graphics, custom ones that we put on. Every time that I wash and wax, I'll take the detailer spray onto that, keep those good. And what else? Again, you'll see my nasty dirty spots. Again, the Awesome spray is great for that if it doesn't come off. Again, my stabilizer jacks do need some rust maintenance this year, but I'll also take my brake cleaner, clean up the threads on those, and I'll take a little bit of the leftover bearing grease that I had from a previous bearing change and lube those up again for the year. But then each trip I'll also spray on a little bit of that lithium grease every trip for that. Coming over here, we'll do tires again with the tire foam. Keeps them good and shiny, prevent UV damage. It's a good thing. Again, torque your lugs on your tires, check those for every trip. 100 foot-pounds. Check your tire pressure. Do that every trip as well, but especially here in the spring. And if you were going to do any kind of greasing of your zerks or your bearings, again, this little cover here just pops right off with a screwdriver, and right behind it you will see the access point for your grease gun to do that. While we're here with tires, keep an eye on your tires. Find your, I don't know where mine is right now, but it is, here we go. Got the DOT number. My tires were made in the 34th week of 2010. Keep an eye on those when we might need to be replacing them. Every 5 to 7 years. I'll be going about 5.5 years when I replace mine. Back over here on our slide outside, if you see there in that corner, you'll see some tape there. It's a roof tape product that's along the top of your slide out there to seal and prevent water from getting in there. Give that a check. A lot of you may not ever wash the top of your slide out when you're doing your washings, but have the slide out when you're doing a wash and get up there at least once, maybe even twice a year, and clean the top of that slide really good. It will really accumulate a lot of dirt and grime that you'd want to get off there. Again, spring maintenance is, again, going over every part of the pod, checking for anywhere where caulk is voided or needs replacing. Again, up on your roof, run your fantastic fan, your air conditioner, where your spoiler is, anywhere on your pod. And again, tightening things. I will go by with my screwdriver, make sure my lens covers are tight. The bolts on my stair there, I'll double check that they're tight. For some of you, you may want to climb underneath. There's a couple bolts every now and then that you'll see. You can actually see where your sensors hook up to your tanks. Those screws could possibly rattle loose. Never hurts to get up underneath there, take a look, and fix them if you need to. Let's see, door. Again, a little bit of silicone spray on the little sliding track there. Keeps that sliding back and forth really well. What else can we think of? Again, roof, do all your sealant. Not going to climb up there quite yet, but we're going to head up that way. Your Fantastic fan, that can use a little bit of the white lithium grease there on those hinges to make sure they move good. And up around the part where it seals, it'll keep it from sticking. If you ever notice in the hotter climates, sometimes the fan won't pop up. The lid will actually kind of be stuck to the pieces of sealer there, so you can just pop that up, get a little bit of lithium grease on there, a little spray, clean up any contact points, etc. Let's see, another thing I can think of, and I'll be checking this tomorrow once I'm hitched up and moving the pod around a little bit better, or maybe even later today if I get to it. But of course we're going to hook up, we're going to check all of our lights, check our flashers, check our turn signals, make sure all of our lighting works. And there's a good example of another seal. You know, garage owners, hit that with a little bit of your lithium silicone spray, or actually the silicone spray. Keep that good and protected as well. But I think we're about done. It may seem like a lot that I'm doing here, but a lot of it's just stuff you just keep an eye on. I mean, your pod is going to require your care and maintenance, but you know, give it a once over every time you're washing, every time you're waxing. These things are going down the road, shaking, rattling. If you think it's weird that a screw may come loose, it's really not that weird. If you were to tow your house down the road, imagine what all would fall out then. So double check things. Always be tightening, always be looking for something that's loose. Anywhere there's a contact point, tighten it, grease it, lube it, protect it, get rust off of it. And while we're out here, it's a little tip. Often, a lot of times, people are always curious about where is the framing and stuff in our walls. Now, of course, you can't see mine right here, right now. But what you can do, come outside on a cool morning when there's a little bit of dew out there on your grass or whatever. Early morning before the sun comes up. And then get right here about this angle with your pod and just look straight down. And you will see the condensation will be sticking to every aluminum stud on both walls either side of your pod. It's not hard at all. At that point, to come outside with a piece of paper, a little pencil, you can almost draw out the entire frame of your walls and know where everything is if you ever did choose to do any kind of modifications to things. But again, I think that's it. Next video we'll do the inside. We'll probably have the Moose in there herself actually doing that stuff. Mostly a lot of cleaning. Again, same thing. We're going to tighten and check every system. We're going to run everything at that point and make sure everything runs and is just the way it was when we bought it. So check back for that one. Let me know if you have questions. I'm sure I will have forgotten things, and I'll try to pick up on those in another video. This is MoosePod, and we're out. Okay, so we're here in the inside now, and we're going to finish up our spring maintenance and cleaning. So, of course, the cleaning part's pretty easy. We're going to wipe down walls, ceiling, clean our bedding, curtains, all the normal stuff. But no one should have a problem with that. As far as the maintenance part, just like the outside, you know, you're going to check anything that could be loose, check it for tightness, you know, and find out. As an example, I will get up underneath our sink here, and if I had some lights you'd see, but get up in there and check all my plumbing connections there. Up underneath your slide out, I'll be taking both my panels off down here, looking for connection issues there. Make sure everything's screwed down tight, attached tight. Of course, with part of the dewinterization and sanitization, running all our water through our water pump. The bed will come up here. Check our water pump connections, check the water heater connections, check power connections to our surge protector, things like that. And then we're going to do a run on all the appliances. I've already done my fridge, all 3 modes. And of course we're going to check the furnace, make sure it lights, air conditioner, make sure it works, course, your microwave, make sure that works. Radio, all of our lights. Gonna remember to change the batteries in your smoke detector. Your CO2's probably got a lifetime or until end of life battery in it. And then your LP alarm down at the bottom. Let's see, after that, we're going to clean our windows. A little bit of silicone spray helps those really keep moving good, keeps your screen moving back and forth. If you've got a bunch of debris in them, Carrie took a can of canned air and sprayed out all the debris from ours and have them sliding better now. What else are we going to do inside? It's not as much as the outside. Again, you're just going to test everything. Our water pump, you know, all the monitor panel. Make sure all your lights are lighting up. Your fan, your lights, every outlet. What you just want to do, you just want to make sure that everything is working and that nothing isn't working. Because if it's not working, then that's when you're going to start looking for problems and troubleshooting. Up underneath the bathroom, I'll be popping this panel today. Looking inside there, making sure there's nothing out of the ordinary. Make sure nothing's loose that I can see. If you've never done this with your pod, open up all these panels. Open up there. Open up underneath your slide. Underneath your dinette. Underneath your bed. Around your fuse box things. Open up all these things and see what's inside there and learn what's in your pod at those locations. That way you'll recognize if something is broke, damaged, or not working in the future. In the bathroom, I've already checked the toilet connection in there in the back. Again, I've already run my water. Everything's good. You know, no loose water handles. Fans opening and closing good. Again, a little bit of silicone on that seal helps that open and shut. And I think that's about it. We really didn't have any issues on the inside this year. Mostly just cleaning and getting it ready to go. Again, all of our water's good. So that's about it for the inside. Again, you're just going to run everything on every mode possible. Make sure everything works. Make sure you've got batteries in all your detectors. Give it a good cleaning. And beyond that, your pod is just a little bit of... Oh, there's one thing. A little bit of maintenance. But check your fire extinguisher. Push the little... at least on mine here, you'll push the little green button down. It should pop back up. If it doesn't, it's time to replace that. So again, it's almost like whenever you first buy your pod and you're doing the original pickup walkthrough checklist. You want to poke, prod, touch, and move every switch, button, and outlet in it. You want to run every mode in it. Basically, you want to see everything run as if it were brand new day one. And again, make sure it all runs again just like that. So that's it, everybody. Of course, you can let me know if you have questions. I'm sure there's things I've forgotten, but we'll wrap that up just for basic spring maintenance. Again, a lot of these things, you can keep track of them throughout your year. While you're camping, you keep an eye on all these things. Again, if you know what's underneath your shower, you know what's underneath your slide, underneath your dinette benches, you'll know when you have a problem because you'll recognize it. But let's see, one last thing before I close out the video here. If any of you happen to have a wobbly shower pan, or it doesn't feel very sturdy to you, one thing you can do if you haven't done it yet, you can pop that panel, and beneath your shower pan there's just a couple 2x4s that are cut, and they'll be at the four corners of that pan to keep it sturdy. Ours were cut incorrectly and didn't quite touch the floor, so added a few extra 2x4s in there, pieces maybe 2 years ago, and shower pan's great now, a lot better than it was. So again, just keep an eye on all these things throughout the year. When something stops working, that's when it's time to figure out why it stopped working. But if you really don't get in there and play with all these things and see what's in all these spots, you may not ever notice that something's not working or not performing correctly. But let's call that spring. Let's get the moose back out here and get curtains back up and bedding, and let's get ready for some camping this year.